Hi. So I hustled home from the game. It started at 7:30 and it ended at like 10:40. The beauty is I can walk in that time from the 100,000 plus people through the traffic and arrive home safely just in the nick of time. I did, as promised yesterday, my research earlier today since I knew I wouldn't have time tonight. So you don't get a truncated version of me just babbling for 30 seconds because I didn't do any work. So there you go. Now, it was interesting because as I'm walking, I got a citizen's alert about someone needing EMS on a scooter. And I looked at the location and it was 50 feet from me. And I was like, oh, that was probably that drunk jackass that I just saw a few seconds ago as I was going, dude, you were way too drunk to be on a scooter. Just kind of mumbling to myself, going, oh, bro, that's not good. And apparently I was right. I just, yeah, scooters. We were talking about scooters tonight. I have like every subscription possible to like Vivo and Bird and Lime and Lyft and whatever because I ride scooters. I'm capable. I've got balance. I can be on one foot. I can do it. But I'm telling you, people, if you are not in fit shape, don't do it. Okay, it's like an electric motorcycle. 20 miles an hour doesn't seem fast, but bro, that's fast, especially when you're like this close to the ground in a wheel only this big. You hit a curb or something, you're going down. Or if you get distracted and do like one of these things and turn the wheel, oh, it's over. It's just over. So, yeah, I've seen way too many rug burns from the street. I'm just like, bro. Oh, anyway, here I am, episode 126. Now, I have to laugh, okay? I'm going to share this with you. So it's 26 days to Halloween, because that makes sense. Today is October the 4th, right? And it's 53 days till Thanksgiving, because that makes sense too. Ready for this one? This is why I tell you, don't trust AI and Copilot. Okay, look at this. How many days till Christmas, Copilot? There are 451 days until Christmas 2025. December 25th, 2025, from today, September 30th, 2025. First of all, it has the day wrong. And secondly, it's not 451 days from September 30th either. I mean, that's a year away. That's a hallucination, right? I mean, just saying, I wouldn't trust it. So yeah, if it's telling you you're doing fine and everything's great and you're the best person ever, yeah, no offense, you probably aren't doing fine. You probably aren't the best person ever, and everything isn't just hunky-dory. So don't believe the AI. Just telling you, don't do it. Jesus. Episode 126, October the 4th. Yeah, that's me, the guy in the van. Right. You know what to do. If you've been here before, I know it gets like droning. So I have my gripe tonight. There was the guy that was sitting. Clearly, this man doesn't go to games often. Clearly, he's unmarried and doesn't have any friends because he was sitting alone. And he was whistling like so loud and so obnoxiously. I'm like, bro, stop already. I was going to actually go say, hey, can I buy you a beer if you would just shut the fuck up? I mean, seriously. And his timing was off too. My friend I was sitting with, we were just like, I said, that's going to get annoying fast. About a second later, I was like, okay, that's annoying. I was making up a whole backstory for him. It was pretty funny. I know, I'm a horrible person, but you knew that already. Okay, clearly we've established that. Anyway, it's not 451 days till Christmas. It's 82 days till Christmas, 53 days till Thanksgiving, and 26 days till Halloween. So we're under the 90-day mark for all of the major holidays of this year, which means we're under the radar for the building being sold under 90 days. I think we're down to like 80, which is awesome. Just can't wait. Auction will be next week, starting maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I will get the URL. I will post it all the time. It's going to be out there everywhere. So there's stuff that you want to buy. I'm going to try and sell every possible thing I can. And whatever's left over, I'm still going to sell. I'll bring it home and be like, hey, here's something I couldn't, sign up quickly and I'll give it to you for $5. I mean, so we need to be done with it. Move on. Can be a fond memory of my past life. Randy version 1.0. This is 2.0 and then some. That's my new header. I'm going to make a Randy 2.0 version as opposed to the guy in the van. Anyway, all right, we're going to do births and deaths and then stuff. So born on this day was Torben Ulrich. Now, Torben is a Danish tennis player, a musician, a writer, and a filmmaker. He also happens to be the father of Lars Ulrich, the drummer for Metallica. He died in 2023. But yeah, I guess he was quite the accomplished bon vivant, all-around guy, did everything. Lars's dad was like a very famous Danish dude. Who knew? Born on this day, Russell Simmons, Def Jam Records, Russell Simmons. He seems to avoid a lot of the controversy of being involved in a lot of stuff. Not true. Barbara Kay, Kuyman McDonald, Timbuk 3. The future is so bright, I've got to wear shades. I didn't have shades tonight. I didn't do it. I just didn't wear them because I didn't want to have to carry them around because I knew it was going to get dark out. Like the minute I sat down, the lights went out and I was like, okay, so I didn't have to carry my shades. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I wear them at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. So I can. That's not Timbuk 3. I believe that's Corey. Someone. Forgetting it. Born to say Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston. Ben-Hur, 10 Commandments, Planet of the Apes. So Charlton Heston, when I went to Saturday Night Live once. And it was because of the musical guest. And Charlton Heston was the movie star guest of Saturday Night Live. Now, I was already living in Ohio, and I just happened to go back to New York for this. So, unbeknownst to me, the way it works at Saturday Night Live, you have to get there early. And then, you get there early, and they kind of give you unassigned seats. Like, oh, you get here, you get there early. You wait in line for hours and hours and hours. Well, I went with a bunch of friends, and we were hanging out in New York City. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to take off. I'm going to go to the thing now. So we got there at like, I don't know. It started at 11:30, like 11 something. So, I mean, we weren't exactly timely. Let's put it that way. But I had guest passes. So I didn't just have regular tickets. I had band passes because we got them through the record label for the band. So they admitted us, but we basically sat on the stairs in the middle of an aisle, like where we could see the band. And then the other stage like was off to the side where the actors were. So we had this weird side angle of everything so we could see the cue cards and all this stuff. And it was just, Charlton Heston was such the macho man guy, I think, and it just kind of saddened me to see this actor in the Saturday Night Live light, because they kind of like walked him in, propped him up, okay, stand there, Mr. Heston, and then when someone was cue cards directly across, and he just kind of read the cue cards like a robot, and then they were like, okay, Mr. Heston, it was like a cardboard cutout. They picked him up and moved him off to the side, and I was like, oh, I was like, that seems so sad. I was like, it just seemed very strange to me. It's just sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes because you don't want to see how the sausage is made. So yeah, I got to see how the sausage was made that night, and I was like, oh, I don't like the sausage. I don't like how it's made. But it was very nice. Did get to go backstage and because the band and got to see Charlton Heston up close for a second, and that was kind of cool. He was a big movie star, from Mega Man and Soylent Green and all these films from the 70s and 80s. So anyway, that's my story about Saturday Night Live. Never went back. Also born on this day, Susan Sarandon, who turned 79 today. Christopher Waltz of Inglourious Bastards and Django Unchained. He was the dentist in Django Unchained. Christopher Waltz. He was also in Inglourious Bastards. He was the Jew hunter. The Nazi Jew hunter at the end. Bill Fangerbake, he's Patrick Starr. He used to be in the show Coach, but he's Patrick Starr. That's the voice that does it. You got to see him. He's a big doofy kind of guy, which makes perfect sense because he's what you would think Patrick Starr is. So I was like, yes, Patrick. Sorry, remember, huge SpongeBob fan. Watched it when it first came out. Not a child, but liked the cartoon. What can I tell you? Alicia Silverstone turns 49 today. Clueless, Batman Forever, Alicia Silverstone. And Rutherford B. Hayes, the 19th president of the United States, born on this day from Delaware, Ohio. Just down the street, Delaware, Ohio. Also born on this day, Anne Rice. The whole vampire thing. Diary of a Vampire, Anne Rice, New Orleans, spooky Anne Rice. Died on this day, Graham Chapman of Monty Python, Life of Brian. I always like Monty Python. Not everyone's a Monty Python fan. Some people just don't get it. And that's okay. I understand. You just have to be a little, I don't know, quirky to get Monty Python, because it's not everyone's humor. They're just a bunch of guys that dress in drag sometimes and do silly stuff. The Minister of Silly Walks and all that. But anyway, that's that. So, 1974, Apple Records has nothing to do with Apple Inc., your phone, your computer, your internet provider, your life source, all of that. But Apple Records, back in the day, the Beatles, releases John Lennon's fifth LP, Walls and Bridges, in the UK. It goes to number uno with the single Whatever Gets You Through the Night with Elton John. Also, number 9, Dream. I like that song. Whatever gets you through the night is all right. It's all right. I was listening to that earlier. I listened to a lot of music today. I had an interesting day. I got up relatively early. It's a Saturday, so I was up before 9. And I went to go demo a bathroom. So I had to go deal with, ripping all the tiles off the wall, getting the counter out, the vanity, the sink, all that stuff. So as I'm cutting all this stuff apart, it was time for me to take the vanity out. And I realized that, wait a second, there's no shutoff valves for the water. Like none. I was like, how is this even possible? So I had to turn off the main water to the entire house and then had to cut the lines because they were attached right to the sink. I'm like, there's nothing to unscrew here. It's like, who the hell did this? So I had to literally cut the lines and then just cap them, then take the vanity out. But I mean, sometimes I just find stuff at people's houses that I'm just blown away. Like, really? It's like, who did this? When was this done? You have to have it shut. What happens if something goes wrong? You have to turn off the water to the whole house while you repair it? You need a little valve. Just saying. But I listen to a lot of music because that's, if I'm just sitting there bopping along, I just go in and start playing music from where else? YouTube Music, because I don't do Spotify. We've talked about that. 1995, our man Sting gets stung to the tune of $5 million. Hey, look, man, his financial advisor, Keith Moore, ripped him off. $5 million, Mr. Moore, took from our man Sting. Hey, you got to watch your finances there. I hear Mick Jagger is quite the guy who looks at receipts for everything. People take advantage. You're not paying attention to all that money. $5 million, boop, out the door. 1991, Texas, or 1997, I think. Yeah, this one's in order, but the chronological number jumps. But 1997, Texas Farm Aid is canceled due to weak ticket sales, and it's moved to Illinois. I have really, really strong feelings about that. Like, really? Texas, you didn't support farmers? Come on. I mean, it's not like it's, we need 100,000 tickets. It's one venue. You don't want to support Willie Nelson's cause to help farmers? I mean, wow, Texas. What's up with that? Just saying. 2005, all the right reasons. For me, it would be all the wrong reasons. But anyway, Nickelback releases their 5th album for all the right reasons. Yes, I know. That was a poor joke at the expense of Nickelback. What can I tell you? 2015, legendary rock band Van Halen ends their 43-year musical career by playing their last live show ever at the Hollywood Bowl in California. I saw Van Halen back when they were kind of in their heyday. Probably it was late 80s, mid to late 80s. I I got some amazing pictures because we were like second row. I think it was Madison Square Garden that we saw him. I have just amazing, like just crazy, crazy pictures because I used to work in a photo lab, so I have like pictures from really close. David Lee Roth, the whole bit. I just remember it was a really good concert. It was one of the concerts I actually that stood out because it was such a good show because we were so close and really got to enjoy it. It's sort of like the Judas Priest concert that I'll never forget. I got to see in Asbury Park, of all places, at the convention center, which I think is kind of empty now, or it isn't, but it doesn't do concerts. It's where I saw the See Here Now festival, but Judas Priest played there. I'll never forget that show because they had these wooden chairs, like the folding wooden chairs, individual chairs, like zip tied together in rows. And we were close. We were like fifth row. And Rob Halford came out on the big silver Harley Davidson and it's like, boom! It was so loud. And the people I with maybe were so stoned that one of them fell backwards. And it was like dominoes because all the chairs were attached. When he fell backwards, he was standing there, like knocked into the next row, and people just like blah, 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 like toppling, and all the chairs were going down. It was just a disaster. But I just remember laughing so hard because I wasn't on the chair; I was standing, and so everybody else like fell, and I'm just like, bah! But it was so loud. And Judas Priest was so good at that moment in time. I'll have to look and see what year that was. Let's see. Asbury Park, Judas Priest. Judas Priest. Anyway, that's kind of off the subject because we weren't talking about Judas Priest. We were talking about Van Halen and seeing that show. Anyway, Leave It to Beaver debuts in 1957. 1978, the movie The Boys from Brazil debuts. If you've never seen that movie with Gregory Peck, it's actually a pretty good plot twist about the Nazis going and keeping with their experiments of eugenics and twins and everything else and trying to recreate and clone Hitler in Brazil. So it's a really interesting, twisty plot. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely a good movie. 1990, 9021 debuts. There you go. That's about it. I'm not making any comment on that at all. And in 1915, see, decades pass. How did that happen? Time went by so quickly, and it didn't even give me the full time. Normally it's supposed to give me 20 minutes. It didn't even give me that, unless I must have turned it on a minute or two early. That was crappy. Sorry. Didn't mean to throw you off. 1915, Dinosaur National Park is established in both Colorado and Utah. I was going to send the picture from Dinosaur National Park because I was there this year when I drove back from San Francisco after the Heinz thing, basically about 30 plus days on the road. Stopped in Utah at Dinosaur National Park, and it was awesome. It was like, holy crap, dinosaurs. This is like real dinosaurs, like real dinosaur bones. Like, here's where they found them. Here's like all that stuff. So super cool. 1961, Bob Dylan plays a showcase at Carnegie Hall in New York City. Bob Dylan played for the attendance total of 53 people. I think that was before he was Bob Dylan, famous Bob Dylan, but still, that's pretty funny. You played before 53 people. Humbling, Bob. Humbling that he played that few of people back in the day. 1962, the band The Tornadoes were number one in the UK with their single Telstar, named after a satellite, like a communication satellite, the Telstar. It's an instrumental song, and it was the first major hit from the UK. It also went number one in the US. I listened to it about halfway through. I'm like, I've heard this song, but it's just kind of crappy. I mean, it's not even it's not like a great instrumental song. So I was like, really? People were really that starved for me? Okay, I guess. But yeah, it wasn't great. It's okay, but I'm not like, oh my God, you have to listen to it. Definitely go check it out. No, I'm not going to tell you to do that. I will not. It just was not that great. 1963, the Beatles make their first TV appearance on UK ITV pop music show, Ready, Steady, Go. Ready, Steady, Go. There's a song called Ready, Steady, Go. You have to figure out who it is. I'm not going to tell you. I've talked about it. It's been in a couple of movies. Anyway, 1968. On, let's see, on what? Oh, okay. I'm like, what did I write? On this date, a UK rock club tour, the Yardbirds, actually Led Zeppelin, headed by Jimmy Page, appeared at the Mayfair Ballroom in Newcastle, England. The Mayfair was legendary for upcoming bands, including Pink Floyd, Mott the Hoople, Def Leppard, AC/DC, and, of course, Led Zeppelin. Unfortunately, the club was demolished in 2000. We're dealing with that ourselves right now, losing a lot of music venues, just getting all destroyed and demoed and not surviving. So that's not a good thing. So support live music, ladies and gentlemen. If you get a chance to, go do it. 1969 CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, starts 4 weeks at number 1 on this day, October the 4th, 1969, with the album Chart Green River. It was the group's first number 1 and chart-topping album. Green River. This one is one of those interesting ones. 1969, the Beatles, Abbey Road, went to number 1 on the UK chart, supposedly holding clues to the death of Paul McCartney. Now, this was sort of fueled by this whole Paul is dead phenomenon. And if you aren't aware of all the symbolism, this is what it was. Basically, Paul being barefoot, and the car license plate is LMW281F. Okay, so this is what it all stands for. Okay, Paul would have been 28 if still alive. IF. Paul 28 if still alive. Okay, LMW stands for Linda McCartney Weeps. Linda McCartney weeps if 28, Paul was 28, if he was still here. That's what the license plate symbolizes. Okay, now if you remember the order, okay, John Lennon was walking first, dressed in all white. He represents the priest, the lead in all white. Next was the Undertaker, Ringo Starr, dressed in all black. Third was the corpse, Paul McCartney, dressed in a suit but barefoot. And fourth was the gravedigger, George Harrison, dressed in jeans and a denim work shirt. So that all fueled speculation that he, in fact, was dead, and this was the symbolism that was, in fact, that. He's not. And he's not a clone, and he's not a robot. Elvis is dead. So is Jim Morrison. So is John Lennon. Paul McCartney is not dead. Speaking of dead, Janis Joplin. She was found dead in the Landmark Hotel after an accidental heroin overdose. Accidental. I mean, I think that's death by misadventure, okay? How do you accidentally die of heroin? You willingly took it, right? I mean, you know, the first time is a mistake. The second time is a willful choice, isn't it? She didn't just take heroin for the first time. Clearly, this was a willful choice. So accidental, you know, I don't know. I don't know how to take that accidental overdose. Anyway, she was posthumously given the number 1 song, Me and Bobby McGee, the single, as well in 1971, the number 1 album, Pearl. She was the queen of psychedelic soul to her friends, as well as her nickname was, in fact, Pearl. She was, in fact, one of the top-selling musicians and still is to this day, selling over 15.5 million albums. You know, must be good to be the queen of psychedelic rock. 1975, Pink Floyd went to number 1 in the UK with their album Wish You Were Here. Now, the Wish You Were Here phenomenon, it featured a tribute to Syd Barrett, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, because remember we talked about Syd Barrett, one of the original founding members of Pink Floyd, who left early on because he basically had some psychotic issues, and Syd was not mentally well, so they made the song Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Now, the album cover itself is two men standing side by side while one is on fire. So the two men were stuntmen. One was Danny Rogers, the other was Ronnie Rondell. He was the one who was set on fire in a business suit. Apparently, during the shoot, Rondell, who had a fire retardant suit underneath this suit, was set ablaze. The wind blew and lit Danny's mustache on fire. They went ahead and switched positions, reshot it, and then reversed the photograph afterwards to put them back in the position that they wanted. Yeah, I guess that's the life of a stuntman. Get lit on fire and lit your friend on fire. It happens. This one was kind of weird. There's a couple weird ones still. 1978, Tammy Wynette is abducted, beaten, and held at gunpoint for over 2 hours by a masked assailant. She's forced to drive 90 miles outside of Nashville, Tennessee, remains at gunpoint, and then is released relatively unharmed, and the gunman escaped and never was found. Publicity stunt? Sounds like Morton Downey Jr., right? Didn't he fake his own beating, basically to, garner sympathy? I don't know. And they believe Richard Jewell, they thought, did that too. The guy who discovered the bomb in Atlanta at the Olympics. They always thought that Jewell planted it and then discovered it so he could become famous. I don't know. It just seems quirky and weird. Just saying. 1980, the band Queen starts a 3-week #1 run with their single, Another One Bites the Dust. It was from their 8th album, which was released in 1980 as well, called The Game. It spent 15 weeks in the top 10 of the UK chart, and it was the longest of 1980. It was also Queen's best-selling single, selling over 7 million copies. It's not bad for a single, 7 million copies. Now, platinum is 1 million, so that's 7 times platinum. Not too shabby. 1980 as well. Melody Maker's Readers Poll votes Kate Bush as the best female singer. I mean, okay, I guess. 1980, sure. Peter Gabriel is the best male singer. The best guitar player was Ritchie Blackmore. So Ritchie Blackmore used to be with Deep Purple and then was with a band called Rainbow. He was kind of a very heavy metal guitar guy, if you didn't figure that out. Best drummer was Phil Collins. Best band, Genesis. And best single was Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2. I don't know if I agree with any of the Melody Maker's choices from 1980. I'm sorry. Who are these people and where do they get their information from? I want to go back and get a recount. I want to know where the hell they got this idea from. That's just me. 1982, The Smiths made their live debut at the Ritz in Manchester, England. And then finally, the last one, which is, again, just strange. It just is. Reportedly, in 1999, the sister of legendary guitarist Jimi Hendrix wanted to exhume his body and bury it at a pay-per-view cemetery, as well as sell burial plots near the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee singer's gravesite, so fans could be buried near Jimi Hendrix. Okay. So in 2002, Hendrix, in fact, was exhumed, and he was reburied under a mausoleum in the same cemetery, in Greenwood Cemetery, still using his original headstone. And apparently his dad, Al, and stepmother were also buried nearby in Greenwood Cemetery. I could not find if it was a pay-per-visit cemetery. I don't think it is, but I still was like, really? I was like, that's kind of, I mean, you capitalize on a lot of stuff there, Sister of Hendrix, but that's just shitty. I'm just telling you. I think that's just shitty. All right, so a bunch of other stuff happened on this day, but you know what? I kept it short because I did run out of time. I did this afternoon, so I did not make it very long. I kept it, figured it would be about 30 minutes, and look at that. It's right at 30 minutes. So that way I didn't keep people up too late. Because it doesn't look like everybody stayed anyway, so everybody bailed. Thanks. Love ya. Kidding, I'm kidding. So someone questioned, should I keep doing this today? And they were like, well, you're building numbers? I said, not really. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm boring. Who knows? I don't care. I appreciate you being here. I'll keep doing this until I stop. Until you tell me to. Until then, I will bid you a fond and farewell adieu. Tomorrow is October the 5th, Sunday. Enjoy your day. Worship as you wish. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And don't do unto others as you would not have them do unto you. Confucius. Thank you. Have a great night. Fade to black. Slow horses. Slow horses.